That was a difficult experience. It was it was a most trying time. The trip was horrible. I think the one good thing about it was that I was able to kind of make peace with my guilt over the passing of Carver, how he died. But I still know that because I think Mother was right, that it was my fault. That if I had taken a less strict or more demanding view with him, if we'd been closer to one another, if we'd found ways to better relate to one another, that perhaps he would have learned to demonstrate greater prudence, greater foresight, and would not have charged off so recklessly to engage that ogre, which we thankfully killed. But I still know this has been incredibly hard on Mother. It's only been several years since Malcolm, our father, died, and now Carver died, and I know in a way she still blames me for it. It still holds it against me. And to be perfectly honest, I hold it against myself as well. But sitting in that horrible hold, that dirty place that smelled of vomit, sour vomit, loose bowels, the horrible storms and everything that we were racked with, in the end, I was able to work through my grief, my sadness, and the guilt that I blamed myself with for his death. And hopefully I'll do a better job next time in the future so that doesn't happen. I know things were tough and difficult for Aveline as well, losing her husband Sir Wesley, but she was very strong throughout this. I think she was far stronger than I was. But now we're here. We need to find a decent place for Mother and a refuge for Bethany. To help out Aveline, we need to find what we can do. And do it. And move on. So that Carver's loss was not in vain. Does anyone have anything to say?
Wesley would have been horrified to see this.
We need to find your uncle. With any luck, he's received my letter.
How will we find anyone in this place?
One final check with everyone.
How will we find anyone in this place?
We need to With any luck, he's received my letter.
Wesley would have been horrified to see this.
Yeah.
Get back to the crowd, you lot. Trying to bully your way through won't get you into Kirkwall any faster.
But you do intend to let us in.
We have enough poor of our own in the free marches. We don't need you refugees piling up here like a middens heap.
This is not going well. We'll have to find a way to make ourselves useful. I won't let Carver's death go for nothing. Particularly since it was probably very much my fault.
I heard someone call this fortress the Gallows. Is it a prison?
Used to be. Back in the Imperial days. They kept slaves here until the rebellion. Now the Templars run it and use it to lock up their mages. Guess not much has changed.
Are mages imprisoned here?
Well, no more than anywhere else. It's a circle of magi now. Magic is to serve man, not rule him. And mages are better locked up where they don't hurt anyone.
Well, we definitely don't want to tell him about Bethany, that's for sure. And Bethany, that walking stick of yours, you might want to hide it and make it less obvious. What will happen to us?
Why aren't we being allowed into the city?
If it were up to me, I'd bar the gates and let you find somewhere else to beg.
Gee, thanks.
But it's not. Some of you lot might have legitimate business in the city. So Knight Commander Meredith wants us to sort you all out. Most of you are getting right back on your ships, though.
That's a Templar title. Why would a city guardsman answer to the Templars?
We don't answer to her, but she's the power in Kirkwall. Don't know what would happen if the Viscount went against something she wanted, but he's sure never taken that chance.
Probably a wise move. Just tell me who to talk to.
There must be someone in charge I can speak with.
Yes, always the same story. You want in, talk to Captain Ewald. I'm just here to keep you refuse from climbing the walls.
Very well.
What's happening? Why aren't they letting anyone in?
Okay.
Was Wesley based out of the Lothering Chantry? I don't remember ever seeing him there.
He served elsewhere. He was coming to find me at Ostagar. Were you familiar with every Templar in Lothering?
How else was I supposed to know when to run and hide?
Bethany. The thing about Bethany is that in many ways she initially comes off at first glance as being a very innocent good girl.
Are you a merchant?
But in reality, and she is, but she's also very perceptive, and in her own way cunning, and clever. Usually when people think of someone who's cunning, they think of it in terms of someone who's like a criminal, or someone who's like a thief, or a rogue, or an assassin. But there are different expressions of that. And she's developed a good sense of self-preservation in terms of being able to both keep her head down.
What if Uncle Gamlen's not waiting for us? What if he didn't get Mother's letter? Oh, Maker. This isn't helping.
At the same time, she's still basically a kid.
For 3 days.
She hasn't quite fully matured, much like Carver. And in Carver's case, I feel that my inability to help him develop sort of a more prudent, calm, perceptive of the world played a key role in what happened to him. Everyone likes puppies, or at least is respectful of them. Well, not everyone, but hopefully our trusty Mabari will help.
You're not animals you can just corral.
We've no intention. Yes. You're all going back to where you came from.
My men and I fought against the Blight. We're heroes. Let us through, you flaming blighter. We're not staying in this pit.
Then get back on your ship and leave. Kirkwall has no more room for refugees.
The ship's already gone. We've paid good coin to get here.
You and half of Ferelden. There's nothing I can do. The city is full.
A guard told me differently.
One of the guards said you were letting in people who have business in the city.
That's right. We've seen you let lots of people through.
Citizens and merchants that make it worth our while. I'll assume that you don't have any more coin than these gentlemen. We've been letting you Fereldans in for months. You're too late. There's no more room.
But we have family here. Doesn't that mean anything?
I've heard claims like that 1,000 times already, trust me. We'll find some ships to take you all back to Ferelden, eventually. Until then, you stay here.
Decided
There
this.
must be someone else in charge we can talk to.
The city's been closed by order of the Viscount and Knight Commander Meredith, whose fortress you're standing in. But as far as you're concerned, I'm in charge.
Our uncle is Gamlen Amel. He knows we're coming. Surely someone could find him.
Gamlen? I know that name.
He's a nobleman here in the city. Our family has an estate.
A nobleman? The only Gamlen I know is a weasel who couldn't rub 2 coppers together. He comes back, I'll bring you to him. But I don't have time to...
What? You're gonna let them through?
I didn't say anything about...
We've been here for 4 days. They just got here. That's it. We're carving our way out of here. Men?
Shit. Alright, first off, fucking scream. Smack him. How the fucking hell am I supposed to deal with something like this?
Help me with this one.
Jesus Christ! God damn it. Fuck you.
Help me with this one.
Alright, ready? God damn it. Fuck off. Come on and kill this son of a bitch. About fucking time. Then you. Hit him. Come on. Oh, fuck off. That was not easy.
Help me with this one.
This is where it gets annoying. Utterly annoying. Everybody, go up here. Go, 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 go. That one. Alright. Everybody. Dog's okay. Alright.
Unbelievable.
Captain, are you all right?
I am, no thanks to you. Where is everyone? Go find them. I want this kept under control. You have my thanks. Look, I can't get you into the city. It's not my decision. But I'll find your uncle and bring him here.
Okay, thank you.
It's been 3 days. This waiting has to end.
I'm sure it won't be much longer. Gamlen must still be looking for us.
And if he's not?
Wait. I think someone's coming.
Leandra. Damn, girl. The years haven't been kind to you.
Gamlen.
It's good to see Mother happy for once.
Let me say up front, I wasn't expecting this. The Blight, your husband, dead. I'd figured you'd pretty much be Ferelden for life.
Oh, Gamlen. We came too late. My poor Carver didn't make it, and Drastic guided him.
Oh,
Don't blame me,
save
Mother.
me. Leandra, don't drop this on me here. I don't even know if I can help you get in.
I hate how she looks at me when she when she speaks of Carver, because I know she's blaming me for it, and I know I could have done a better job. I'm sorry, Mother. I failed you. Speaking of which, she's suffered enough. What about Mother?
I'm more concerned about Mother. Can you get her in at least?
No. We stay together.
I was hoping to grease some palms, but the Knight Commander's been cracking down. We're gonna need more grease.
But what about the estate? Surely Father left something when he died?
Right, about the estate. It's, gone. To settle a debt. I've been meaning to write you.
Then there's no hope.
Not quite. I know some people who might help. If you're not too delicate about the company you keep.
So there's no family
Mother said
fortune.
our family was wealthy. You really can't help us.
I am blighted helping. I've got 2 offers of work from people who've got the coin to open those gates.
I still can't believe you sold the estate. Gamlen, how could you?
Well, I didn't expect your blasted family to show up on my doorstep. I've got a nice place in Lowtown. You'll see, it'll all work out.
Any place that has the name Lowtown, accompanied by the words nice place, is by definition a contradiction. That is a rather incongruous connection that you've developed there. I will wait and see on Lowtown being a nice place, as you so bluntly put it. So there's no family fortune.
Mother said our family was wealthy. You really can't help us.
I am blighted helping. I've got 2 offers of work from people who've got the coin to open those gates.
I still can't believe you sold the estate. Gamlen, how could you?
Well, I didn't expect your blasted family to show up on my doorstep. I've got a nice place in Lowtown. You'll see, it'll all work out.
I needed to go through that a second time to fully comprehend this, because Mother did come from a very much a well-to-do, prosperous family when she fled with Malcolm, our father, and we essentially lived the life of very quiet, landed gentry, not that wealthy, but comfortably enough in terms of being well off. Why don't we just leave?
Do we need to stay in Kirkwall?
Nah,
Let's
that
go
would
to
hurt
another
Mother.
city.
This was my home. I can't believe they won't let me come back.
Every city on the coast's been hip-deep in Ferelden since the Blight. You could try your luck further inland, I suppose, but it won't be easy.
No, we're not putting Mother through that. We'll find a way.
Sounds like fun.
Let's hear it, Uncle. What do you have in mind?
I talked to my contacts, and I found some people who might be willing to pay your way into the city. The catch is, you and your sister have to work off the debt. For a year.
A year?
It's the best I could do. Trust me when I say a bunch of refugees won't get a better option anywhere else.
This is the best It's probably true. If the Knight Commander has closed the place down, we helped the guard out fight, and I did a sloppy job there. That doesn't bode well. Our fighting abilities have gotten very, very rusty. Very rusty. I will say one thing. So our fighting abilities have gotten much more rusty. And we couldn't have survived that without help, which is incredibly disturbing. Without the help of the guard and those people fighting, we couldn't have survived it. Which is incredibly disturbing. Maybe we'll be able to hone our skills, sharpen them up, bring them back. Get something out of this. But in any event, this is the best you could do. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but still I'm going to press him. I mean, he basically blew our family's fortune. He seems like a dodgy guy. Not a crook, but one of the vices of the nobility is gambling. Malcolm told me this. Mother told me this. He probably diced it away or gambled it away. He was probably your typical nobleman. Blew all of his money, blew everything he owned, had no one to regulate him. Lost it. Okay. But he's what we've got to work with. But still. So what's a year?
I'm sure we'll be free and clear before we know it.
I managed to convince my contacts to come to the gallows to meet you personally. Mirren heads up the mercenary company, the Red Iron. They're looking for recruits. Fenrir, I guess you might call her a smuggler. Either one of them can help you. All you need to do is find them in the courtyard and convince them you're worth the trouble.
Sister, what do you think?
What do you think about this, Bethany? We've come this far. I don't care who we work for, as long as it means we don't have to go back.
Tell me about this mercenary.
What kind of man is this Mirren?
He's a hired sword. What do you expect him to be like? I wouldn't bring him home for dinner or anything, but he's got a decent reputation. I wouldn't have asked him if I thought he'd cross you.
I believe you on that. I don't believe that you're bad. Well, how should I put this? You're venal, not bad. By that I mean you have vices and weaknesses, but you're not an inherently bad person or someone that goes out to do things deliberately out of malice. You're just a spendthrift. You've got a lot of personal failings in that respect.
How dangerous is this smuggler's work?
Well, it won't be pretty working for her. She's a pretty small fish compared to some of the other thieves' guilds around here. But she's tough, she's fair, and she never deals in slaves or flesh.
That's good, at least. I'll go talk to them.
Let's find them and see what they have to say.
Oh, Gamlen, I don't know about this.
It's a lot of coin, Leandra. Don't go expecting our name to carry the kind of weight it used to.
And what of me? I will not allow others to incur debts on my behalf.
Can't see that it makes a difference. You look like a lady who can pull her own weight.
Then you'll come with us.
I have no real option. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Still gotta deliver that. That fight did not go anywhere near as well as I was hoping. I took 2 health potions and a heal. We've gotten rusty aboard the ship, and those guys were more capable than I thought, and we needed the assistance of these guard. Without that, I don't think we would have survived. That's not a comforting situation. I'm going to have to rethink how we do some fighting here. I think one of the smartest moves was moving up here. I have an idea on how to do this next time. And I think the key thing is not to get caught up and absorbed. And another thing, Statues of tortured slaves fill the gallows courtyard, a ghastly memento of Kirkwall's history. 1,500 years ago, Kirkwall was Tevinter Imperium's largest quarry, feeding the construction of the Imperial Highway. The Imperium's hunger for expansion led to legions of slaves forced into working the quarry. When the Empire's construction phase ended, Kirkwall slid naturally into its new role as the capital of the slave trade, the gallows at its heart. The statues are not monuments to the suffering of slaves. Every inch and angle of the courtyard was designed by the magisters, bent on breaking the spirit of newcomers. How charming of them. Executions here took place daily, sometimes hourly, and corpses were hung from gibbets throughout the yard. New slaves trudging on from the docks saw what awaited them. Yes, Tevinter was horrific in many respects. And given that the magisters were mages, this helps to understand and this helps to explain the animosity and distrust that people place on apostates such as my sister, even though she did nothing wrong and doesn't deserve that. But I understand where the fear comes from. When Our Lady turned her armies against the Imperium, the slaves of Kirkwall revolted and claimed the city for themselves. That's good. The gallows stood empty for 200 years, not to be reopened until the crowning of divine Justinia I. The gallows transformed the city again when the abandoned prison tower became the home of Kirkwall's Circle. From good old Brother Genitivi, from In the Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar by Brother Genitivi. I remember studying under mother and father and tutors, because we did have the money for that as minor landed chantry, and reading some of his stuff. It was a bit dry for my taste, but informative. It was useful, but not enjoyable, not thrilling, didn't fire up the spirit or anything like that. And I would have and in many respects, when I was younger, I certainly needed books more like that.
So, that was your uncle, was it? Good. I thought he was another confidence man trying to sell promises.
Yes.
I don't suppose he has the coin you'll need to get in.
What about our help?
We just helped save your life. Isn't that worth something?
If it were just up to me, I'd let you through. But there are a lot of eyes watching.
I understand.
A lot of palms that need greasing.
I understand.
My suggestion? Wait for a ship and hope the next city hasn't already closed their doors.
Fair enough.
Good luck, whatever you do.
You're welcome, and I am glad that I saved his life. I'm going to talk to Marine. Then I'm going to speak with Athenriel. We'll speak with him, but we're probably not going to... I don't know. Let's see.
Mirren?
And you must be Hawk. Nice. Your uncle talked up a storm about you. He better not be blowing more smoke out his arse.
So you're a mercenary?
I'd like to know more about you first.
Right. You're not a marcher like your uncle. The Red Iron is well known in these parts. We pick who we work for, keep our noses clean. But anyone screws with us, we mess them up. Makes sense.
Makes sense. I never pictured myself as the mercenary type.
You're paying a lot of money.
Getting us into the city will take a lot of coin.
Did I mention the Red Iron gets paid pretty well? Not to mention your uncle said your sister's a mage. We're willing to pay for that.
Gamlin, that was not wise. You should not have said that. That was a dreadful mistake. If the Templars come knocking, they will put her in the tower. You know, Bethany is... He wouldn't sell her out. To his credit, Gamlin's credit, he would not deliberately sell her out. But when he talks, like if and blows his mouth off like that, he needs to be very careful.
Apparently, Uncle Gamlin likes to talk.
You stick with us. You'll be safe. For the year, at least.
How do you know Gamlin?
My uncle doesn't seem like the sort to hang out with mercenaries.
He doesn't. Gamlen cheated one of my men at a wallop match. You turn out, we'll call it even.
Sorry, but I'm going to check someone else first, maybe come back.
I'll find some other way into the city.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Fair enough. Not to be rude. I might come back. I want to see what my options are. Now we'll try the smuggler.
Are you a Fenrir?
You must be Gamlen's niece. Interesting. I don't know what he told you about us, but he certainly told us a great deal about you.
He didn't say anything about me, did he?
Enough to pique our interest, provided you can justify your uncle's confidence.
So you're a smuggler?
I'd like to know more about what we'd be doing for you.
I can be honest. We don't compete with the Thieves Guild, but we keep our fingers in a lot of pots. That said, we're not killers or slavers. Anything short of that, however, is fair game.
Okay.
Do what you want, but this sounds fishy to me.
We can't afford to be choosy.
You're offering a lot for us.
I hear getting us into the city isn't cheap.
If you're as good as your uncle claims, we're hoping you'll be worth it. After all, it's not every day we're offered an apostate's services.
Gamlen in his mouth.
Does everyone know about us?
If the circle hasn't descended upon you, my guess is no.
Thanks.
The Templars in Kirkwall like to think they have all mages properly leashed, but when has that ever been true? We can keep them from taking notice while you're with us. Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay, that's good news, because we do have to contain the issue with Gamlen and his big mouth. How do you know Gamlen?
How did you get to be one of my uncle's contacts?
Is that what he calls me? He owes us after that last big idea. If you turn out, though, we'll consider things even.
Okay. So, Gamlen knows both of these people. One, he cheated a guy in a wallop match. Not very bright. But here, big idea owes the group as a whole. He is trying to help us. He's one of Mother's few last family members. I get the feeling that he's wronged these people more, so it might help him more, although that's not my primary consideration. I think Bethany is more comfortable with this. I think Aveline is less comfortable. I wonder why. What I will say is that in the final analysis, I will probably go with the smugglers also because I'd like to keep a lower profile on things, on matters. It seems like that would be nice. This seems like a way that I could... Both ways I can learn a lot about the city I live in. But here, I feel more comfortable working with her than with Marin. Nothing wrong with Marin, but I feel more comfortable. I appreciate her personality more. I appreciate her demeanor more. I like her low-key practicality more. Marin seems a bit more blunt and outspoken. I'm not saying he's obviously that way. He's showing you anything, but I appreciate her more low-key, quiet. This is a job. We do this approach. So I'll do whatever it takes.
Tell me what you need done.
There's a merchant named Cavril, friend of the Templars, so they let him set up his little shop here in the gallows. We supplied him in return for a piece of the take, but now he won't pay up. We can't go near him without him screaming for the guard, but you can. Get our money from him and you're in.
Okay. I wonder. Let me check a couple of things. Towering over their darkspawn kin, the massive ogres are a rare sight in the battlefield. Traditionally, they only appear during a blight, but some records claim that ogres have been spotted in the deep roads hunting alone or in small groups. At least one report by the Grey Wardens claims that an ogre was spotted alone in the Kokari Wilds in 919 Dragon, though it was weakened and easily dispatched. Up to 100 of these creatures can accompany a darkspawn horde at any one time during Blight. Or a lot more than that. I swear there was a lot more in the assault on Ferelden, often using their great strength to burst through fortifications and demolish the front lines of the opposing army. They use brute force to charge their enemies like bulls, slam the ground with their fists to shake enemies off their feet, and hurl giant rocks into the face of oncoming foes. Melee can be difficult against a giant that snatches a warrior up in one hand, crushing the life out of him or beating him into oblivion with the other hand. That's how they killed King Kaelin, from what I understand. That's what the stories are, anyway. The nimble can try to wiggle his way free, or an ally can attempt an array of stunning blows on an ogre to free the comrade in danger. Grey Warden lore urges caution when slaying an ogre. Unless it is ensured that they have received a major wound to the head or the heart, it is possible that they are lying dormant will regenerate to full health within a matter of minutes. During a blight, most Grey Wardens recommend burning all Darkspawn to ashes, dead ogres in particular. Wise idea. Statues of... Yep, we've read this. Kirkwall once lived on the edge of the Tevinter Imperium and was home to nearly 1 million slaves. That's just so awfully mind-boggling. Stolen from elven lands or shipped from across the sea, all slaves fed the Imperium's unquenchable thirst for expansion. They worked in massive quarries and sweltering foundries that produced stone and steel for the Empire. The city's complicated past is not easy to forget, history having earmarked many corners of the stone city. A ship approaching the harbor spots the city's namesake, an imposing black wall. It is visible for miles, and carved into the cliffside are a pantheon of vile guardians representing the old gods. Over the years, the Chantry has effaced many of these profane sentinels. That is one of the good things the Chantry has done. I appreciate that. But it will take many more years to erase them all. Also carved into the cliff is a channel that permits ships into the city's interior. Flanking the channel are 2 massive bronze statues, the twins of Kirkwall. The statues have a practical use. Kirkwall sits next to the narrowest point of the waking sea, and a massive chain net can be erected between the statues and the lighthouse, closing off the only navigable lane. This stranglehold on sea traffic is jealously guarded by the ever-changing rulers of the city, as the net trolls taxes, tolls, and extortions and extortions from the sea. The Kokari Wilds. It is said that in the midst of the Black Age, when werewolves stalked the lands of Ferelden in numbers that kept every farmer indoors and a hound on every doorstep, a powerful Jarl of the Alamari people stood and declared that he would put an end to the threat. His Jarling stood on the border of the dark forest on the southern border of the Ferelden Valley, and he claimed that the werewolves used the forest to launch their midnight assaults on humanity. For 20 years, the Jarl led an army of warriors and hounds deep into the forest. In this hunt for the werewolves, he slew not only every wolf he came upon, but also every member of the chastened wilder folk. Any one of them, he said, could harbor a demon inside, and thus be a werewolf in disguise. For 20 years, the forest rang with screams, and the rivers ran red. The tales say that an old chastened woman found her sons all dead at the Jarl's blades. She pulled one of those very blades from one son's heart, and plunged it into her own chest, cursing the Jarl's name as she did so. Where her blood touched the ground, a mist began to rise. It spread and spread until it was everywhere in the forest. The Jarl's army became lost, and it is said that they died there. Others say that they wander still. The ruins of the Arling stand to this day, filled with the ghosts of women waiting eternally for their husbands to return. The forest of the legends, of course, is the Kokari Wilds. There are many legends about the great southern forest, as there are shadows, as old saying goes. The chastened wilder folk have made their home there since mankind first came to these lands, and the wildlands spread as far into the south as anyone has ventured. Beyond the mists are vast tracts of snow, white-capped mountains, and entire fields of ice. It is a land too cold for mankind to survive, yet the chastened eke out an existence even there, and they tell of horrors beyond the wilds that the lowland folk could not begin to comprehend. To most, Ferelden simply ends with the Kokari Wilds. There is nothing beyond. The wilds is a land of great trees, wet marshes, and dangerous monsters. What more needs to be said? By Mother Alice, Chantry Scholar, 918 Dragon. I remember my father, Malcolm, and mother reading this story to us when we were little children during the winter. It would be cold, and we'd have to go to bed. We didn't want to go to bed. We wanted to play, particularly Carver and I. Bethany was usually much more obedient. And they would read a story like this. And Bethany would get scared. And we'd all sleep in bed together because we were all scared, but Carver and I wouldn't want to admit it. And we'd also get tired and go to bed. And sleep in our snug little beds at home. A mage who does not receive the teachings of the circle and who does not have the words of Andraste in her heart is an apostate and a danger to us all. Well, Bethany is actually a believer, which is one of the reasons why she's not a danger. Without the guidance of the Holy Chantry, a mage may foolishly dabble in the dark arts. Bethany doesn't do this. Blood magic or demon summoning, thus becoming Maleficarum. And you do not need the Chantry, in my opinion, to avoid this from happening. Father has done a good job with Bethany in regard to this. And a mage's mind will ever be a doorway to spirits of the fade. Again, Father did an excellent job of training her not to be this way. And indeed, it is mages who train other mages. There does need to be some regulation, but the method that the Chantry employs is far too cruel and far too invasive in the freedoms of people. It offends their liberties far too much. Without proper instruction, this doorway remains open and unsecured. If a demon should come through this doorway and possess a mage, an abomination is created. Abominations know only madness. They cannot be reasoned with, and will slaughter man, woman, and child without thought. Whole cities have fallen to these creatures. Thousands have died at their hands. The Chantry and her Templars have a duty to ensure that this does not happen, but not at the risk of enslaving these people. If I knew a better way to deal with magic, I would seize upon it immediately. I doubt that. There are better ways. My father has demonstrated that with Bethany, and so have others. You say we should let the mages guard themselves. I'm not saying that entirely. An example of how to regulate things would be through the use of phylacteries, but let people go out and live their lives and then have phylacteries and do regular checkups. They're creating strawmen here. I tell you, this is no solution. Look at the Tevinter Imperium. And no one is suggesting no regulation whatsoever. The Tevinter Imperium is an abomination. The magisters do not know restraint. Correct, but there are different forms of it and different levels. Without Chantry oversight, the magisters abuse their power. Those without mages are trampled underfoot and forced to serve. Slaves are slaughtered by the hundreds to feed the magisters' hunger for power. Even some mages are not spared, for in mages, as in all humans, there exists a spectrum. On one end, the very powerful; on the other, those that can barely light a candle. That's actually more sophisticated. The Empire cares only for the strongest, and that's true. And those who do not compare favorably are thrown to the wolves. Again, there's a lot of truth to this. Imagine your children growing in such a world. They did in the past, but they do not have to now. Your method of control does not be how things have to be done. If a mage asked it of you, you would have to give him your daughter, not knowing what his plans for her might be. That is true when the Tevinter Imperium ran things. They do not now. You could not resist him, and neither could she. Without her Templars and without the Circle, the common man would have no defense against magic. There are mechanisms and tools, though, for doing things differently than the Chantry does it currently. We must deny the mages certain freedoms for the common good, correct, but you interfere far too much. Honestly, again, all you really need, in many respects, is essentially the phylacteries. Because then if you have them, you can check, and they live in the areas, you can always check up on them, you can always track them down and check up on them. You have training, regulations, and then ways to check the people who are dangerous and a threat, and take care of them and keep them within the circle of magi. Whereas the others can be allowed to live a more normal life, or a life where they're dedicated to helping the community. And you have the phylacteries. In fact, one thing that you might want to consider is having mages and Templars work together and regulate the others. Make them a part of the system. And if they flee and run off to the wilds, unless they come back, they're not a problem. Don't waste people going after them. And there are other ways. I tell the apprentices this is a test of their faith, that it is the will of the Maker. Many understand that what we do for their own good. Not always. Sometimes yes, but many times no. It depends. Excerpt from a letter from Grand Cleric Francesca of Starkhaven to Lord Guthrie Ebolds. Those who had sought to claim heaven by violence destroyed it. What was golden and pure turned black. Those who had once been mage lords, the brightest of their age, were no longer men but monsters. Thurinnes 12:1. Sin was the midwife that ushered the Darkspawn into this world. The Magisters fell from the Golden City, and their fate encompassed all our worlds, for they were not alone. No one knows where the Darkspawn come from. A dark mockery of men, in the darkest places they thrive, growing in numbers as a plague of locusts will. In raids, they will often take captives, dragging their victims alive into the deep roads. but most evidence suggests that they are eaten. Like spiders, it seems that darkspawn prefer their food still breathing. I hate spiders. And I hate darkspawn, loathsome beings. Perhaps they are simply spawned by the darkness. Certainly we know that evil has no trouble perpetuating itself. The last blight was in the Age of Towers, striking once again at the heart of Indentured, spreading south into Orlais, and east into the Free Marches. The plague spread as far as Ferelden, but the withering and twisting of the land stopped well beyond our borders. Here, darkspawn have never been more than the stuff of legends. In the northern lands, however, particularly Tevinter and the Anderfells, they say darkspawn haunt the hinterlands, preying on outlying farmers and isolated villages, a constant threat. By Sister Petrine. I don't remember reading her. My brother grew up surrounded by magic he truly couldn't understand. He cared deeply for us, but sometimes he did feel like the stupidest person in the room, even though he wasn't. He foundered in loathing, caught between the gifts of Bethany, our sister, and the growing skill of myself. What was worse was that I was older and more authoritative, which he resented and rebelled against. But even as he groused about his lot, he remained dedicated to protecting us, because he loved us, and we loved him, and we still love him. He didn't think twice about sacrificing himself to save our mother during the flight from the Darkspawn, and he didn't have to. We could have saved Mother without him doing that. Although Carver struggled to find his way in life, no, there's not really gratification or satisfaction knowing his death had purpose. We tell Mother that, and I kind of say that to Bethany, but we could have done it differently. We could have done it better. You are required to do nothing, least of all believe. Ages ago, legend says Ban Conabar took to wife a beautiful young woman who harbored a secret talent for magic, Flemeth of Highever, and for a time they lived happily until the arrival of young poet Osen, who captured the lady's heart with his verse. They turned to the chastened tribes for help and hid from Conabar's wrath in the wilds, until word came to them that Conabar lay dying. His last wish was to see Flemeth's face once more. The lovers returned, but it was a trap. Conabar killed Osen and imprisoned Flemeth in the highest tower of the castle. In grief and rage, Flemeth worked a spell to summon a spirit into this world to wreak havoc, vengeance upon her husband. Vengeance she received, but not as she planned. The spirit took possession of her, turning Flemeth into an abomination. A twisted, matted creature, she slaughtered Conabar and all of his men, and fled back into the wilds. For 100 years Flemeth plotted, stealing men from the Chastened to sire monstrous daughters. Horrific things that could kill a man with fear. These Kokari witches led an army of Chastened from the wilds to strike at the Alamari tribes. They were defeated by the hero Cormac, and all the witches burned, so they say. But even now the Wilders speak that Flemeth lives on in the marsh, and she and her daughters steal those men who come too near. Morgan's mother say that I am the daughter of Malkin Hawk and Leandra Amel. I have lived in many places throughout Ferelden. My father and my younger sister Bethany my father was, and my younger sister Bethany is, an apostate mage. Thus, our family was constantly on the move, avoiding Templar hunters. 10 years ago, our family settled in the village of Lothering, building a home on the outskirts. It was a nice, cozy place, comfy, making a life where they wouldn't forever be on the run. It was nice to be inside it during the winter. It felt very cozy and fun. We could hear stories, too. Though Leandra worried constantly that the Templars would one day catch up with them, Malcolm kept his abilities a secret and taught his daughter to do the same. Our father died 3 years ago, leaving me responsible for the welfare of my mother and younger siblings. When the Blight began, Carver and I quickly enlisted in King Kaelin's regiment. The horde spilling from the Kokari wilds meant our home would be quickly overrun if the Darkspawn were not defeated immediately. And I don't ever want to go back and see what happened to it. I don't want to see its destroyed remains, because I'm sure they did. That would hurt too much. However, the Battle of Ostagar ended with the betrayal and death of King Kaelin. Carver and I barely escaped the chaos with our lives, and we returned to Lothering to get our mother and Bethany out with only moments to spare. And it took them forever, and they could have gotten a lot of people out of there that they didn't. It was a mess. They were completely flooded. The local band left with his troops. And the Templars and the priests and the Revered Mother were completely swamped with people, and they were trying to get it organized, and a lot of people got out, but a lot of people didn't, and they just didn't move fast enough. They didn't realize how quickly they had to move. I don't like to think about it. Just move on and forget about it.
I've already told you, I can't give you any more for them.
But that was everything we have. It's all we brought with us.
And I feel for you, Sarah, but it's the best I can do.
If they just let us into the city, I could get 3 times that price.
Myron?
Your business is done.
But...
Myron the Mercenary. Unpleasant.
Now then, what can I do for you, Sarah?
I guess with a name like Myron, it might give you a complex and you might feel you have to live it down. And this sleazy merchant really, really bothers me with how oily he is. And unscrupulous. What kind of shop is this?
I didn't think there'd be any stores here in the fortress.
There are many merchants who come here right now who can't afford the bribes to enter the city. So the Templars suggested having someone set up shop, temporarily. And I am the lucky man.
Ha ha. Lucky indeed.
You mean you paid your own bribes to be here?
If they allowed everyone to set up shop, this place would turn into a bazaar. Sadly, there's only so much I can do for those Fereldans. Poor sods.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure you're very broken up over it.
I meant you. Folks like yourself.
Did you cheat that woman?
She didn't seem very happy with the deal you made.
What am I supposed to do? Buy every piece of furniture these people dragged with them?
I'm sure they'd rather not sell what little they have left.
My point is that I'm running a business, not a charitable order. I'm sorry.
I imagine the profits help with the guilt.
Athenril sent me. I really don't like this guy. He's sleazy, opportunistic, and exploitative. He exploits people. Athenril sent me.
I believe you owe your business partners something.
Oh, I see.
Should I go tell the guards?
Not just yet. I want to hear this. So, Athenril sent you to collect, did she? Too cowardly to do it herself.
One of the issues that people have to watch out for, and both Mother and Father taught us this, was that just because you have power or a position or an advantage does not mean that you can let yourself become overconfident or arrogant. If you have, you might find that you've overplayed your hand and that other people may raise it higher and then call your bluff. And the most dangerous time that they can call your bluff is when you don't realize that you're bluffing and that what's backing you up is essentially a bluff. And I think this is an individual who needs to learn that lesson immediately. Aveline?
Care to step in here?
Only because this toad deserves it.
Good girl.
You have a choice. Pay, or I beat it out of you and your men.
Hey!
Myron?
Stay back. Just take what's in the chest. Take it all. Now I'm getting out of here. Let those guards find someone else to buy Dogland junk.
Very nice. He was overconfident and sloppy. And he didn't realize how much of his position was a bluff. Okay. And we're going to be smart about this.
Here you go, as requested.
Will you look at that? Tell your uncle we'll make the arrangements. Welcome aboard.
Good to hear. And it's important that we got tougher, stronger, and more robust, because I'm not pleased with our experience in the previous fight we had. It was a lot rougher than I thought it would be.
Good luck, whatever you do.
We'll probably need it. Let's just check the air and make sure that we've gotten everything. Check out the... Ugh. Ugh.
I hope we can get into the city soon. I don't know what will happen if we have to go elsewhere.
I do not like this place. I do not like how this place looks. And what is that beast? I assume these are like the Tevinter gods. I'm so thankful we really knocked them down a peg and took out a lot of their power.
I hope we can get into the city soon. I don't know what will happen if we have to go elsewhere.
What an unpleasant being. Ugh. Deeply unpleasant being. Ugh, I do not like this.
Good luck, whatever you do.
Thank you. Oh. Is there anything here? There are parts of the city I like, even though it seems a bit suffocating and closed in. Some of the areas that you go to, like, I like the architecture. The statues, I do not like them at all. I don't like such depictions of suffering, misery, pain, cruelty as an expression of art. I find it very disturbing. It's different from expressing battles, like even fighting or killing. This is more about, it's so sadistic. There's so much sadism in these. There's so much glory in the pain and suffering. And it's almost pornographic in terms of the depictions of the agony and suffering and pain of people. Very distasteful. And also, when you add in the fantastical statues of Tevinter gods and icons, it assumes this really sort of corrupt, degenerate, morally degenerate aspect and element to it. I respect historical preservation, but this is something I could do without.
I never thought I would find myself begging to be allowed back into Cup.
It's okay, Mother. We found a way. I'm sorry that this happened to you, and I am a bit angry at Gamlen for this, but he is helping us in his own way. And we helped him, of course, at least with the Thenril, not Marine.
Any luck?
Yes. They've agreed to help us.
I'll speak to a Thenril and see when the bribes can be made. Wait here.
Then we made it. The voyage is over.
We're not all safe. Carver is gone. Still, so long as we're safe.
The blight may still spread, but for now we have a new home.
If only Carver were here with us.
I'm sorry, Mother.
And Wesley.
I'm sorry, Aveline.
Let's just see what happens. We have a long year ahead of us.
Thus began the champion's first year in Kirkwall. Word arrived from across the sea that the hero of Ferelden had defeated the Blight. But Lothering was destroyed. Kirkwall was the champion's home now. So she remained, paying off her debt. Made a name for herself in the underworld. It was a busy year in the city. That's when the Kunari landed. A great storm had caught their ship and left hundreds of warriors stranded in the city, waiting to return home. That's also when the trouble began with the mages. The Templars had become very powerful under Knight Commander Meredith. But, most importantly, that's when I first met the champion.
No. Andraste's tits, human. You know how many people want to hire onto this expedition?
But we heard you're going into the deep roads. Surely you'll need all the help you can...
No. You're too late. Already done. This is a sort of venture that can make a man for life. I'm not about to take any chances hiring random humans.
We have experience.
We've fought and killed Darkspawn. How many of your hired men can say the same?
Get in line, human. Half of Kirkwall wants to be my best friend right now. You're looking for a quick way out of the slums, right? You and every other Ferelden in this dump. Find another meal ticket.
Unpleasant.
What are we supposed to do now? We've got nothing to stop the next person who tries to sell us out. This expedition was our last chance.
Oh, sister, it's okay. Don't be afraid. Let's try and cheer her up. No. Look, we'll be fine.
We've made a name for ourselves this last year. We'll find something.
We have to. We need coin, status, something we can hide behind. As long as we're just refugees, we're no one. Maybe Gamlen knows someone who can talk to Bartram for us.
Gamlen. My sister has a good head on her shoulders. She appreciates what we need to watch out for, what we need to be careful of. But she is also young and inexperienced. And because of that, sometimes she gets nervous. Sometimes she loses her nerve. And it's important that I'm there to steady her and to find ways to keep things together.
Our uncle's not exactly the most reliable tool in the shed.
He's all we've got. Make us save us. We might as well ask. Otherwise, I don't know what we'll do.
Hey!
Hey!
You're not the only person who needs money, buddy.
I knew a guy once who could take every coin out of your pockets just by smiling at you. But you don't have the style to work Hightown, let alone the Merchants Guild. You might want to find yourself a new line of work. Off you go.
How do you do?
Varric Tethras, at your service. I apologize for Bartrand. He wouldn't know an opportunity if it hit him square in the jaw.
But you would.
I would. What my brother doesn't realize is that we need someone like you. He would never admit it either. He's too proud. I, however, am quite practical.
Hey, I know you. You write books. I like your books. They're fun. They're passionate. They're energetic. They've got a lot of excitement. They're rip-roaring, rousing adventures. I like them. Plus, there's a lot of blood and action in them. Are you in the expedition?
You're part of Bartrand's venture.
That's right. The deep roads wouldn't normally be my thing, but I can't allow the head of our family to go down there alone. So as you might imagine, I have more than a passing interest in this expedition's success.
Well, putting aside that your brother is a complete and utter asshole and douchebag, I must say that you're putting aside that your brother is a complete... Well, putting aside that your brother is a complete and utter asshole, I must say that I wonder if adventures such as this are where you get the ideas for your fun and amazing stories. But it's also interesting to know that you're the brother of the guy in charge, and it's good to know that you're in our corner. But I am curious, you know who we are? Because I definitely know a famous fun author like you.
What makes you so certain we can help? You know nothing about us.
Oh, on the contrary. You've made quite the name for yourself over the last year. The Coterie has been squeezing smugglers out left and right, and the only group to survive owes it all to you two.
That's true.
The name Hawk is on many lips these days. Not bad for a Ferelden fresh off the boat.
What about Bethany?
You must have heard of my sister as well, then.
Only a little. She is certainly welcome to come, but I'll leave that up to you.
Frankly, I'd rather you take the credit.
Madam, your secrets are safe with me.
Find out what he's offering. We need a way into this expedition.
Right. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to take you with us, Bethany. If both of us were to perish on this expedition in the deep roads, and the deep roads are dangerous, she couldn't bear it. It would destroy her. Especially after the loss of Carver, which was just a year ago, and Father, which was essentially 4 years ago. So I'm going to be going and you aren't. But I'm not going to tell you that yet. You don't need to know that. You need to stay here with Mother to help her out, and because she wouldn't bear it if we both died. But you are right. We need to know a way into this situation. How do we reason with your brother? How do we reason with him? He is your brother. You would know better than anyone.
There must be some way to persuade your brother to hire us on.
We don't need another hireling. We need a partner. The truth is, Bartrand's been tearing his beard out trying to fund this on his own, but he can't do it. Invest in the expedition. 50 sovereigns and he can't refuse.
Okay.
Not with me there to vouch for you.
He'll share the profits?
Your brother doesn't seem like the sort who's willing to split profits.
My brother is many things, but he is not stupid. Far better to share the profits than be trapped in a tide with 1,000 darkspawn between you and the exit. Trust me, he'll come around.
You'd vouch for me?
Why would you stick your neck out for a complete stranger?
I'd rather take a chance on someone with your reputation than head into the deep roads unprepared.
Good idea.
And besides, we'd be your partners. I'm willing to give a little trust if you are.
I don't have much coin.
It sounds interesting. But if I had any gold, I wouldn't need this job.
You need to think big. There's only a brief window after a blight when the deep roads won't be crawling with darkspawn. The treasure you find down there could set you and your family up for life.
It won't be easy, but it's a chance. I think we have to take it. Better to work our way into this expedition than sit around waiting to be thrown in the gallows.
We work together, you and I, and before you know it, you'll have all the capital you need. What do you say?
This does seem like a long shot.
There might be nothing down there except darkspawn and rubble. How can you be sure we'll make a profit?
Well, Bartrand isn't grasping at strings. He's operating on some good information. Some of the deep roads are so old, even the dwarves have forgotten them. We just need to get down there. Then Bartrand will lead the way. You and I will be there to handle problems.
So how could you help me?
What makes you so certain you'll be useful to me?
I know everyone in this city worth knowing. I can help you find the jobs you need, and if you don't need me for that, there's always Bianca.
That's your crossbow?
You named your crossbow.
And why not? She's a beauty. Isn't that right, sweetheart?
It is a pretty amazing looking crossbow. It is impressive in its own way. I'm supposed to
What's to stop you from taking my investment and running?
He won't do that, but I must
You'll
ask.
be traveling with the expedition.
Good
And I'll
point.
be at your side.
Good point.
If I cross you, you'll be the first one to know. And I'll be the last.
That's a good point. I'll do it.
You have a deal.
Perfect. Kirkwall's crawling with work. You set aside some coin from every job and you'll have the money in no time.
Okay.
Maybe Aveline can find us some work. She's got a position with the city guard now.
That's true.
We should talk privately when you get the chance. In the Hanged Man, maybe. I'll be there when I'm not with you.
Okay.
Now, let's go see what trouble we can stir up.
Okay.
Ah, Hightown, where the rich go to piss their money away. This really is the best place in Kirkwall.
Okay. It's nice to have Varric with us. It is. He seems fun, he seems friendly, he seems cheerful, he seems likable. With Carver gone, I liked working with Aveline, but there was something kind of nice with Carver's kind of rivalry with me, where he'd push back against me, where he'd do things against me. And sometimes he'd joke and mock and make fun of me, and I kind of liked that. That's not really Bethany style. We do laugh and find things funny and joke about it, but it was nice that he was there to kind of put me in my place sometimes and to make fun of me. It's one of the things I really miss about Carver. Even though he could be an obnoxious little git at times, he's still my little brother. Yeah. So it's nice to have Varric. He seems like a cheerful, friendly sort.
Not much to see here.
Ah, Hightown, where the rich go to piss their money away. This really is the best place in Kirkwall.
Yes. Let's take a look around this place. See what I've got. I might as well sell some of this stuff. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Hey, puppy. Good to see you again. You'll make good friends with Varric.